I learned everything I know about interviewing.
I don't want to censor your art.
From,
you know?
I do think of it that way.
Freedom.
Yeah,
But I can't take responsibility for the...
This is America.
For the audience's response to my art.
I'm Jensen Beeler. I'm the CEO of Kramer Motorcycles USA.
I'm Joe Karvonen, owner of Kramer Motorcycles USA.
And what are we looking at here?
This is our new APX-350MA. This is the first of our new APX family, and we have a debut in here this weekend at COTA with MotoAmerica.
And what is the bike for?
So this will be the single make spec bike for the new MotoAmerica Talent Cup. It's for riders 14 to 21. It's a development series. And the top 5 will get invitations to go to the Red Bull Rookie Series afterwards, which is the stepping stone into the Grand Prix paddock. And the big focus of this bike is it's a race-built, purpose-built motorcycle from the ground up. It's not a street bike that's been converted to racing. This bike's only purpose is to go fast on a racetrack, and that lets us do some things that can really hone in the mechanics of the machine and really have a focus on providing a Grand Prix level of performance.
So this thing is a massive step up from the single make Kawasaki 400s that the class is composed of now.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're making 55 horsepower at the crank right now, so I should preface, this is our prototype. It's our first iteration of our prototype. It just landed in the US a couple weeks ago. P2 is in Germany right now. We'll be doing a dual testing program up until the production of the bikes for the MotoAmerica series. But right now, this bike's making 55 horsepower, weighs 242 pounds, so not quite Moto3 power to weight ratios, but pretty darn close. Certainly, in terms of chassis dynamics, adjustability, electronics, a lot closer to what riders are going to see at the top echelons of the sport than, say, what's happening in the Junior Cup right now. And that's kind of the whole gist of why that formula is changing. You know, you go and you look at what a Ninja 400 provides, an awesome street bike. It gets people into the sport, which is fantastic, but it wasn't designed to be a race bike, and you have to work really hard to get it on the racetrack and do the racing thing that you want it to do, and even then you're going to have to make compromise because that wasn't its original intended use.
So how did you, good choice on hiring Jensen to be your CEO.
Yeah, he does okay. He does okay.
I've done this before.
Yeah. How did you get the deal so that you became the sole source supplier for MotoAmerica?
Yeah, that's a fun story actually. So this project originally started in December of last year. Joe has been saying for literally years that we needed to have a motorcycle in the ultra lightweight space that would compete against a Ninja 400, that would compete against an RC390. Our focus is really track day guys and club racers. So we wanted something that could go out there and beat up on the small displacement bikes. We've been talking a lot about a 450, and when I came on board with the company, you know, did a product roadmap, tried to figure out what the next 5-10 years looks like, what are the holes in the spaces that we can fill, and said, like, Joe's idea is awesome, let's put it on the placement. It was like a second, third kind of priority project for us. And then around December, our first priority, we realized this isn't going to be something that we're going to get to market in the timeline that we thought. Let's greenlight then we called it the 450 project, because it was centered around a 450 single, because a lot of clubs have a space in their rulebook for a 450 with a race use chassis or a GP chassis because supermotos. So we started working on that project, started trying to figure out what that looks like. In January, a month later, we get word through our networks of connections that MotoAmerica wanted to do a Talent Cup, and the provider of that bike was no longer going to be able to provide them with the machine that they wanted. And I literally just cold called Chuck Axland at MotoAmerica and said, hey, I'm Jensen Beeler, I work at Kramer Motorcycles, I heard you have a problem, I think I have a solution. And then I told them about the project, and they kind of were like, Kramer who? Jensen who? But it sounded pretty good, and we talked some more, and the 450 they didn't like as much, but the 350 had the characteristics of what a Moto3 bike looks like. The 350 motor from KTM, it revs out, it's a rever, it makes its power through RPMs.
So how psyched was Marcus when you called him and told him that you'd gotten him a spec series in the US?
I'm not sure Marcus thought it was real at first.
I would have to agree. I think he kind of was a little hesitant at first. I don't think he quite was prepared for how much work it was going to be either, but a lot of people have been working really hard to get it to where it is today. We've been pretty much around the clock, both here in the US and in Germany. So
I think there was a point on a Zoom call where Wayne Rainey showed up while Marcus was on the call, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it got real after that.
After Wayne showed up.
This must be a real thing.
Yeah. Got it. All right, so walk me through, like, the bike is trick as hell. It's got so many beautiful parts on it. I mean, I'm even looking at the underslung brake caliper, the spacers, the discs are gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot of very nice. Actually, we're gonna have to switch sides because the light's coming in.
Just get that good golden hour light.
Tell me about the ECU.
Okay, so we're using a Mectronic MKE7 ECU, mated to an ECU Master dash through Solo Engineering. This is a pretty high level ECU. You're gonna find it in the World Superbike paddock. You're gonna find it here in the MotoAmerica paddock for the Super Sport class. We're going to run the software that is prevalent in the World Super Sport 300 class, so very high level electronics. For this class, for Talent Cup, we're not going to probably take advantage of all the features that are on it, because it has a built-in IMU. You can do really advanced traction control and fluid control, but we're not going to have that for the series. But what we will have is adjustable engine brake control, adjustable throttle maps. There's some talk about maybe having limited adjustment to the timing table.
So this has got electronic throttle valves, electronic throttle, and you're going to allow the end user to make their own ETV map?
Well, that's the other fun thing we did. So stock KTM 350 motor is not ride-by-wire. It's a cable-operated throttle. So we mated a 50 millimeter throttle body from the 690 platform to the 350 motor, and that allowed us to get the ride-by-wire, and we developed that in conjunction with Mectronic. They did a lot of heavy lifting for us, and that gives us the ability to then start playing with the engine braking, to start playing with the throttles and all the other fun stuff that come with it.
And are the rules defined yet in terms of what people are going to be able to mess with, or?
I believe the rule just came out.
It's still provisional, so it's not finalized. The provisional rulebook is either been launched today or will be launched soon. There is some adjustability and there is some changes that are going to be allowed. I'll have to kind of hold back from saying what, because the rulebook is still pending, but I will say it's going to be a single bike manufacturer class, and a lot of calling it spec. Even we will follow into that, but MotoAmerica really sees it more as a single manufacturer with a little bit of guardrails.
Gotcha.
So there's going to be some adjustability. There's a little bit of allowability changing for suppliers for ergonomics, things like that. Like I said, I don't want to speak what I don't know when it comes to the rule book, but we were involved in writing a lot of it, so we can say that there is going to be some flexibility in the team.
Is it going to be sealed engines?
Not sealed per se, although again, I would go back to what Joe said. That's something that could change. My understanding is that right now they don't want them to be sealed, but you got to understand the basic idea, the basic premise behind this motorcycle is young riders on a GP chassis learning how to set up a chassis. So we have a lot of chassis adjustment in our frame, and we can go over that in a minute, but also introducing them to world level electronics and letting them dip their toe into those waters to start understanding not only how do you set up a bike physically, but also how do you set up a bike electronically, because that's something that's going to carry over as a skill set into every other series that they go into, whether they go into Super Sport, whether they go into Moto 3, wherever their career takes them. They're going to start seeing electronics like this, and they're probably going to start seeing Mectronic ECUs because of how prevalent they are in the paddocks. So that's the whole point of this bike, is to teach them the things that they need to excel or be successful in their future careers, because at the end of the day, MotoAmerica's mission statement is to develop the next world champion at the Grand Prix level.
And what's the MSRP on this bike?
$22,495.
That seems pretty reasonable.
For what it is pretty reasonable. It's darn near Moto 3 Performance Index at basically a quarter of the price. When you look at the other Talent Cup bikes that are in this space, we're right there with them. I think upfront costs wise, depending on the market, we're equal if not lower, and I think when we prove this out in MotoAmerica, we'll see that the reliability is a lot higher, so the cost of running this as a platform is going to be a lot lower.
Do you have an estimated number of hours of engine life?
Not at this time, but we know from our testing that We don't like to speak to that necessarily all the time, but I'll say 1 season of operation should not be an issue.
The 350 is pretty tried and true with all their enduro and motocross and everything else.
Yeah, it's a proven platform. It has had some updates in recent years, but it isn't a giant departure from the previous generation. So it is a very well-proven architecture and design.
Yeah, and very well known in the space with, you know, getting it serviced. Any KTM dealer can work on it. Very well known in the reliability, what the cost of parts are. It's a very known quantity for racers to jump on. And that's kind of the secret sauce of Kramer in general, is we always work off production engines and then build prototype chassis and top level components around it. So you get the reliability of a production motor, not some hopped up race motor that's gonna last, you know, 1 race weekend. But then you get all the hard part goodies that you kind of see on, you know, go fast motorcycles at your local racetrack. And that's a really winning formula for us in just about every segment that we enter into.
And how many are you guys going to bring into the country?
Building 40.
Building 40 in our first production run. You know, pre-orders as of today are around 20. We anticipate a grid most likely between 20 and 30 at this point, and that's kind of what we're preparing for. And that's very comparable to the existing grids that are on MotoAmerica's schedule. So.
Yeah. The priority will go to MotoAmerica teams. So we have a wait list, we have an ordering list. We do have some interest from people that are outside the MotoAmerica paddock, but they're going to have to wait until the start of the MotoAmerica season to get their bikes, because I want to make sure that any team or rider that shows up and wants to get on the grid can get on the grid, you know, for the first round. You know, we're trying to push teams to sign up early, get their names on the list, get their deposits in so that we can guarantee them.
So it's actually really simple. If you go to our website, you can fill out a form. It'll submit to our purchasing department. They will send you an email for a payment request for a $1,000 deposit, and that locks your position on the wait list.
Nice.
And we're trying to use that to guarantee, we're trying to get that in by November 1st to guarantee that you'll have your bike before the start of the season. Anyone after that, we're going to try our hardest to get them on there at the first round, but you just can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
So I just have to say, I'm going to race my daughter in.
Yeah. You know,
I just want to put one on my coffee table.
Now that you've told us, obviously the race is up. So I don't know if that was chess or checkers, but I mean, you can kind of see when it comes into the entries, we're going to know who's licensed. We're working very closely with MotoAmerica.
Yep.
I mean, this thing is going to have to be so fun to ride.
It's a blast. I've had a chance to take it around in Europe during testing, and no, it's a race bike.
I mean, the lean angles just must be obscene.
It's a race bike. Yeah. It's designed to do the thing, and it's super satisfying. It's super rewarding. It's being such a short wheelbase and lightweight compared to what most people are used to. It changes direction so quickly and so effortlessly that it makes for an enjoyable experience, even just maybe playing around at a medium pace. So.
Yeah. One of the fun things about pretty much all of our bikes is the first time someone gets on it. That's my favorite thing to see, because they get on it and they swing the leg over and they kind of do that. You talk to a lot of people like, oh, I got an exhaust, it took 10 pounds off my bike. You are not going to notice that on a 400-pound motorcycle. But when you take away 100, 150 pounds and you do this, it's very noticeable. So you always get that reaction like, whoa, look at that. 242 pounds wet, wet sans fuel. But that's palpable. That's something that you're going to notice no matter what you're coming off of, whether it's an 400 or an R6 or an R1. That's really cool. I mean, that's what we're all about, and that's what helps us achieve the performance index that we want to be at.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, you guys. Anything else you want to throw in there?
Really excited for the season to start.
Yeah, honestly,
sure,
yeah. Like it's been a lot of work. We're really excited. You know, we have plenty to do, but we want to encourage teams to reach out to us with questions, concerns, whether we're in person here this weekend or we will be at New Jersey for the final round of MotoAmerica. And they're just answer questions. That's what we want to do right now.
Do you have like a help guide for teenagers on asking their parents for $23,000 in a transporter budget?
I mean,
that's a good idea. Yeah, that would be a good
I would say a paper route, but that's not relevant anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure there's a TikTok video.
TikTok we could do. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. We might have to recruit somebody a little younger than us.
I'm well outside the age demographic. I think the only thing I would add is, I saw the bike for the first time 2 nights ago, and it's literally been 9 months since we started this project. So for me, that was very much like the birthing moment of a baby. This is a huge deal, not only for us in the US, but also for the team in Germany. They're all super excited about the project. They've all been putting in the hard work.
Yep.
Guys have literally been working weekends, literally working nights, literally working through the holidays, and then everything else in between. So we're full gas all the way up until these bikes get delivered to the different teams that are in the Talent Cup, and it's a really important project for us. And then from here, we'll have other bikes that come out on the platform. We're hoping some sort of track club racer type of machine in this category. There's a lot of talk about maybe what else could fit in there, because all the KTM dirt bike motors share an engine mount.
Right.
So I keep teasing the idea of a
450
two-stroke.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. So I just like putting that out there, because if there's enough people that say, two-stroke, that'd be great, it probably happens.
God.
Putting that into the
Put
universe.
the 300 in there.
There's options.
There's a lot of options. So that's a cool thing. And building a platform motorcycle is I think the next step for our company, and it's cool to see that realization.
All right. Well, congratulations, you guys, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
sir.
it.